This talk is not really 100% related to Swarm or anything. It's just a topic that is being investigating for over the past few years about self-sovereignty identity using a blockchain and all this kind of idea about you should control your own identity, and no institution in the world or any big corporation, they should have access to your private information. That's something that I'm very, very interested in. So I was like trying to work on this a couple of years ago in developed country, but it's quite hard because you're always fighting with big corporation, institution, embassy, and all this stuff that they don't really want to give accessibility or give access to people's privacy. So I decided to investigate into developing country, and that's something that I create, and now it's a non-profit kind of like foundation. It's called IDBox, and IDBox, the main goal of IDBox is to provide identity for people. Well, there's no electricity, like power grid, and there's no internet. In a world, and I think this is something that blockchain can solve, you've got 1.5 billion people that don't have identity. And this can create big problems because they cannot have access to any kind of services like healthcare registration, microfinancing, anything that we take as granted in developed country. So you've got different reasons why they don't have identity. Is because there's not really institution, because most of the country can be corrupted. You have war, you have unstable regions. If you think about the refugees as well, this is a big problem because then they lose everything, and then when they move to another country, then they don't have any identity, so they cannot actually start working on any stuff. There's no internet, and there's most of the time no power, no access to electricity. So this is the solution that I came up. This is not the answer of everything. So this talk is more like an open discussion where you guys can, after the talk, give me some question and answer about what I'll be looking for. So this is a decentralized device that you can send to any location in any country that doesn't use a power grid and doesn't use internet, and it can create a private identity for people. Yeah. So I will show you like a quick video. That was the video created for version 1 of the prototype.
IDBox is a cost-efficient device that enables people within developing countries to create a unique identity. The IDBox device is composed of a Raspberry Pi, SMS chip, fingerprint recognition, and a solar panel. By combining these components, it allows us to create a secure, identity-based service that will revolutionize the way that developing countries participate in a range of activities. From Papua New Guinea to Ghana to Samoa, we are able to ship the device to any local area, even if they don't have power or the internet. The devices, which cost less than $50, are hosted in a range of centralized areas like schools, churches, banks, and coffee shops. People use their SMS phones to text the IDBox device to create a unique mapping of their phone and fingerprint, creating a personal ID. Once someone has created an ID, they don't need to use the box again unless they want to assign their ID to a new phone. Across the country, millions of people do not have an ID. This is John. He has recently heard about IDBox. Using his phone and the local IDBox, which is located at his nearby church, he is able to create a unique ID. He sends an SMS to the IDBox to activate the registration process. He puts his finger on the fingerprint scanner. The box then encrypts the fingerprint using an advanced encryption process and then sends the hash of the fingerprint by SMS to the blockchain attached with John's phone number. If the identity doesn't exist, it then creates a new identity on the blockchain and sends a confirmation message to John on his phone to confirm his new unique ID. With his new identity, John is now able to view his balance, history of transactions he has made, and to securely transfer money to other people who have created a unique ID. Each time John wishes to make a transfer with other active users, his unique ID is verified against the blockchain. He is quickly notified of his transactions on his phone. He can also participate in voting systems, healthcare registration, and ownership of land. Thanks to ID Box, John's engagement with these activities has been revolutionised.
Okay. I think you've got the idea, yeah? It doesn't use a smartphone because most of the people over there, they don't have a smartphone. We can always speculate on when are the smartphone will be available in developing country, maybe 5 years, 10 years, but at the moment there's a massive amount of people that don't have access to this kind of services. So maybe we can solve this problem just by an SMS analog phone. So this was obviously the version 1 that I ran the pilot in Papua New Guinea in a village. And version 2, because the concern is like Estonia. Estonia, they released the e-citizen, yeah? E-citizen is a great idea if you think about it. But when you register to the process, what they do, they ask you to go to an embassy and then to put your fingerprint. Basically, they save the fingerprint in the centralized server database. So what happens if you've got a hacker that hack inside, it will basically steal all the fingerprints. And that was exactly version 1 of the prototype. That was putting the fingerprint into a smart contract, and then you could see the fingerprint. So that's quite a risk, yeah? So the version 2 of the box is still using the analog phone. So I've got the box actually, and you can look at it. So you've got a SIM card, you plug it in, you write the number on it, and then you text the box. I can pass it if you want. But instead of saving this fingerprint into the blockchain, then you save the hash of the fingerprint into a cold storage. So it can be like the USB, or it can be just an NFC card. And then you use this NFC card to sign transaction. So when you want to make an SMS transaction, you use the NFC card to sign the transaction and to verify that your phone number is unique and the NFC card is unique. So the advantage is cheap. There's no smartphone needed, no special SIM card or SIM overlay. So with the Java, you can think about creating a SIM card on the top of the analog phone. You don't really need power grid because you can use like a simple solar panel to power the box. It's decentralized. And then NGOs, if you think about them, they've got billions and billions. Every time they send money to developing country, you got less than 5% of the money that actually reach the people. This is a massive problem. So I've got like partnership like UNICEF and other NGOs that want to implement this kind of device. Yeah, so this is the different use case: financial inclusion, movement of people, voting system, registration of land. You still have like remaining questions. So you could use an NFC card to sign the transaction, but this NFC card needs to have a PIN, a screen that you can actually enter the PIN, or you can get N-money code. So we can see about ledger or Trezor, and then we could use maybe one ledger or one Trezor, or like a cold storage for an entire village. Because at the end, what you need to do is just you need to save those private key, those hash, inside the Trezor, and one village can just share this cold storage. So then it can be super cheap for the entire village, instead of having one Trezor per people. If you look at the box, you can also add some add-on. You can add like vision, iris recognition system. So basically what you can do, you've got like a lot of a new paper, research paper, using a fuzzy fusion multimodal biometric systems. So you can create like a very advanced encryption system. The problem of scaling, is it possible to scale? You could potentially maybe create a smart contract per city, and then people can register and can add their phone number inside. So when the government or one NGO wants to do something, then you can target all the phone and transfer the money directly. It doesn't really stop people to create more than one identity, because you don't really check the fingerprint at the end of the day. You just make sure, so you can use maybe like NGO or UNICEF to force people to only create one. That's for now the only solution I've got. What about saving the identity encrypted and your information about your identity on the swarm? And then you can make provider, if they want to access some part of your identity, to pay for that, but you get the request directly. So you get an SMS saying, oh, the bank or the institution wants to access my information. Are you okay with that? That's the idea. And yeah, that's basically, do I have something else? No, okay. That's the end of my talk. Yeah. Cool.